What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the RedBeard Outdoors podcast. I'm Jonathan, your host, and today we've got an outstanding guy here with us. We've got Kellar from Dagr and Nott, and we're going to get into his brand, why he loves making knives the way he does. He has his own very unique touch to things, which I love. As you know, a lot of people know, I work with the Montana Knife Company to some degree, but I also have buddies like Kellar who we've met through social media. And other knife makers as well, local here to Utah. One of them being an old scout master of mine that retired from military and just loves pounding away at steel and making some really cool blades. So Kellar fits into that group. He's someone that adds his own little twist to specific knives, doesn't just copy different designs and roll with it, stamping his logo. That's something that stood out to me. And I was following his stuff for a little while. Then Kellar reached out to me and actually sent out this beautiful Skinner that we'll get into here, and why you guys might want to take a look at this blade right here. So with that being said, Kellar, for people that don't know who you are or about your brand Dagr and Nott, which you just barely started showing your face, I noticed it was a lot of just knives, and now you're showing up a little bit more. So what do you want people to know about you? Who are you?
My name's Kellar Wilson. I'm the owner and one of the operators of Dagr and Nott and Dagr Manufacturing. I've been knife making for quite a while. I started when I was 15, 16, and the business itself started about 5 years ago. And now we're at a team of 4 people, including myself, and we make American-made knives.
Pardon the brief interruption, guys. It is hoodie season, sweater weather, whatever you want to call it. It's time to get a hoodie for you or for your family. And who doesn't want free stuff? So Barbell Apparel right now has free hoodie sale going on right now. So you can go over, and yes, the deals stack. You can get this amazing hoodie that is, I'd say it's a mid to heavyweight style hoodie, but you can go get a free hoodie over there at Barbell Apparel. That branding is just on point, guys. It's super clean. The screen doesn't even make me look like a leprechaun, which is freaking awesome. And it is so comfy. I have to get it away from my wife and my kids because they all want to take it. This thing is so comfortable. So go save $20 right now on Barbell Apparel. I absolutely love everything from their pants. You can wear them to church. You can get jeans that you can squat in and actually move in. You can get some awesome shorts. You can get workout gear. You can get button-up shirts, polos, and so much more. Get a free hoodie until the end of October and save $20 using the link down below. They're a new partner of the show. Really excited to have them on. Go support them. Go support me and my family as well. If you're in the market for any workout apparel, any other type of nicer looking apparel, but it's got more athletic fit and will move with you, won't keep you stiff and starchy, just stiff like a board, right? We want you to be able to move. So go check out Barbell Apparel, guys. Highly recommend it. Thank you so much. And do not forget to get entered into the 6,000 subscriber giveaway. Who doesn't want to win a free spotting scope that's worth over $1,000 from Leupold? The SX4 65 millimeter Gen 2 spotting scope is going to go to one of you lucky people. So all you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel, fill out the link down below so I can call the winner live on YouTube when we hit 6,000 subscribers. So let's get there, guys. We're almost there. Less than 300 subs left to get there. Help me get there. Let's do this together. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Now let's get back to the podcast right now. That's awesome. That's awesome. 15-year-old obsession with knives. You know, I guess that could be good or bad depending on the parents, you know, and how they feel about that.
Man, I
Yeah.
was a little terror.
Yeah. I
It's
bet. I
it's
can't.
embarrassing, but like we would stop at gas stations, man, and I was like all over it, just horrible knives, but I was so excited to just be like, oh, let me see the biggest one. I want to pick up the biggest knife. And anyway, that grew into a more um a more stable obsession with knives where I actually wanted to start building my own. And I remember my dad came home one night, and on his duty belt he had a handmade knife. It was very obvious it was handmade, and it was a gift from one of his guys to thank him for giving him a job. And he showed it to me, and it was the most badass thing I think I'd ever seen. It was a knife that was made out of a truck leaf spring, and I was like, I have to meet that guy. And my dad's like, yeah, sure, come over to the office, we'll go meet him. So I met this guy and I was like, you have to show me your process. Like I have to see this. And he was making knives in his garage. He gave me an hour-long lesson. And from there I was off to the races, man. I was on YouTube every spare second I had. I used the little 4x4 corner in my parents' garage, and with files, angle grinders. I made the worst knife I think you've ever seen in your life. I've got a picture of it here somewhere and I'll send it to you, but it is horrific. But every build it got a little bit better. My second knife was just a tiny bit better than the first, and then third, fourth, fifth, and eventually, here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's, in literally half your life. I mean, from 15 to 30, you've been working on this. So, for people out there that are like, oh yeah, I could just go out and forge something real quick. That's not how that works. He's got 15 years of experience at this point, pounding away at steel and figuring out what designs you like and steels you like to use for different reasons. And, again, still very young. I'm 33, you're 30. I mean, we still got a lot of life ahead of us, God willing. But with that being said, you've come up with some really cool stuff. And I know a lot of your stuff. When I first started, I can't remember how I came across your page, but it was a lot of tactical stuff, which I think tactical stuff is really cool. Personally, I don't rock a lot of tactical stuff because I don't want to put off that vibe, even though I still get a lot of people that ask me if I'm a cop, if I'm ex-military, just the way I stand, my mannerisms, because I grew up with that. But because of that, I understand the value of not trying to put off something that you're not. You want to have respect for that community a little bit. So love what you had going, but didn't really dive down into that because it just wasn't my vibe per se. And then I started noticing you were kind of leaning a little bit into the hunting industry, and then we started a conversation, and you mentioned sending one of these out. So let's kind of we'll talk about this for a minute. Actually, you know what? Before we get into this blade, I want to ask you what got you rolling with that style of blade, that the I want to say tactical, but I mean there's more to that. There's EDC tactical style blade. Why did you start there? What had you down that path?
I think part of that's just the people in my life. My dad was former military. My brother's currently in. I have uncles in law enforcement and first responders and all that sort of stuff. So all the people around me were kind of in that sphere already. So when I was making knives, I was making knives for them. And there's that initial inspiration from the people around me, and then also the market started accepting me in those spaces too. So the EDC space is huge, obviously. Tactical space is huge, and I personally really like the looks that come with those spheres. Kind of nice dark colors, concealable, heavy use knives, that sort of thing. But on the other side, I'm also a hunter, so I also need tools that can really survive a beating in the wild, suited more towards those tasks than self-defense or than just the everyday kind of tasks as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that definitely makes sense, and that's cool that you were looking to make knives for the people around you. And it definitely fits that style. But also, again, guys, there's people out there listening. It's hard to sometimes want to spend the money on a nice custom knife, or even I'd say semi-custom, because you have runs of them. So it's not a one of one per se, but they're handmade custom knives. It's hard to spend money and then want to use them and abuse them. You buy it and then you're like, crap, I don't want to mess this up. Because you've got some awesome designs. You've got it's almost like a paint splatter pattern. You've done some like multicam looking knives, that black, obviously, black multicam / duck camo, that kind of pattern I really am drawn to. My color scheme is pretty dark usually. This is usually the brightest color I wear. This kind of tan, mostly it's black, grays, dark olives, that kind of color scheme. And your finishes seem to hold up really well. Obviously, take a picture of what I tell people is take a picture of the nice knife when you first get out of the box. Get a couple pictures of it. That way you can remember what it looks like. Then go use it, because it really actually does add character and look really good when you've put it to use with more than just opening boxes. So
That is such great advice, man. And
I mean, it is.
there's the two different types of, well, there's many different types of customers, but two that are into a lot are people that want to like collect and display and have these pieces as things to show people and just ways to support the industry. And then the other people that are like, no, I'm using this every single day. Like I'm cutting open boxes, I take it hunting, I throw it in my backpack, all that sort of thing. And I try to hit both those zones. So we have knives that are more of the collector's side. Obviously, there's still actual knives. They're still meant to be used. They still are more than capable, but we use like more exotic materials. We use different colors, hybrid handles, segmented scales, all sorts of fun stuff to make it really, really special and unique. And then we kind of have the other ones too, which is just like, I want something blacked out. I want G10 handles. I want to be able to beat it up and not really worry about it. And I've got one of the first mini mads we ever produced, which is kind of our EDC knife. It's got G10 scales, Magnum cut steel. It's black Cerakote, and obviously you can tell it's worn and well loved. And I have the first one of the first Nashers.
People pay good money for a battle worn finish. I'm like, guys, just get the knife and use it.
Just use it up, man. Add to that finish. And then I have one of the first Nashers too.
So this one's only been used on 2 animals so far. So it's still
finish
pretty.
Is looking good.
Yeah. But no, that's awesome. So let's kind of, you've explained kind of where you started there. I didn't realize you were into hunting until, we started talking. I don't think it's something that a lot of people do discuss, whether it's because like me, I feel like, Instagram specifically is kind of targeting my stuff, and I'm kind of leaning into it because we talked ahead of time, a little bit about, authority, and not necessarily being the biggest fan of it. There's authority, and as a dad, I'm like, obviously I've got to put some authority down in the home, but at the same time, I kind of like when my kids question stuff after I've asked them to do it and they've done it. They can question me and come back. I open that up for discussion 100%, because I want them to understand what I'm doing. With things like Instagram, I think I've got a screenshot of it. I got flagged for sexual content because of a protein bottle that I was holding, First Phorm protein.
My God.
And I'm like, I'm so tempted. Like I'm going to make a story about it a little bit later once I've shared my hunting stuff from the pronghorn hunt. But I'm like, is it the girth of the bottle that you're offended by? Like what,
bottle's just too sexy.
Oh man, I'm going to have, I know, it's just, I'm like, it's not me. So obviously you're offended by the protein. But yeah, we're going to have some fun with that. Cause it frustrates the heck out of me. But anyway,
that is super frustrating.
That's going back to why, a lot of people may not share hunting stuff. Also, people, might be worried about their spots getting blown up. Some people are crazy. They'll like zoom into peaks and then they'll go to Google and they'll find it. And they're like, oh, I know where you're hunting. And that's a good spot. Like it's crazy what people will do.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'll just tell you, unless it's some honey hole, I'll just be like, yeah, if you want to go hike 6 miles, here's here's where I went to and saw like 2 animals.
You got to put in the work. Are you mostly like hunting public land, or do you have private?
Yeah, mostly public. Like whitetails, for example, this upcoming fall, what we did this last fall, it's a mix between private and public. Usually it's a small portion of private that accesses a bunch of public. And then this pronghorn, actually, I got real lucky, and that was on private because the majority of the unit was private, and we drove the entire unit on Saturday. And we spent 12 hours up there, and like from sun up to we got home right after sundown, and the only herds of pronghorn were on private. So then I went deep diving into the internet and found some phone numbers and got some permission. But most of the time it's public, just because I don't have that kind of bankroll. If I did, I have no shame in saying I would hunt private land if I had that kind of money. But yeah, it's funny that gets a little bit of a stigma, sometimes.
It is funny because I think most people, if they could, would do it. It's just
they're jealous.
Yeah, it's jealousy. And
the only things I don't like is when people lie and they're like, oh yeah, you know, hard public land grind, and then they've got a, you know, a high fence behind them. It's like, dude,
Mm.
just say you shot it on a high fence ranch,
Yeah,
you know?
just tell me the truth,
Like,
man. Be
yeah,
honest.
like in December, I got invited out to go to a ranch. It's huge, so it essentially is its own thing, but they have a portion of it that is high fence for the, you know, $30,000-$40,000 client, right? And then I get to go in there and kill all the does, pigs, and the coal bucks, you know, that they don't want on there anymore breeding. So, uh, you know, again, it is what it is. My biggest peeve is when people lie. Outside of that, I don't care where you hunt. Like, just don't say you killed some monster on public land when it's, you know, obviously private. So
Yeah,
it is what it is.
absolutely.
But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. So we, so let's talk a little bit about, so started moving into the hunting space. You have, and I don't know if you have one with you. Do you have a grinder with you,
I do
or
not.
a Nasher?
I have a
This
Nasher
is the
with me right
Nasher.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the Nasher. We have
Okay.
almost the
And then you've
exact
got the
same one.
grinder, which is more of a sheepfoot style blade, and that one's a little bit beefier as well.
It's quite a bit beefier. The stock wise, it's closer to, I think, 3/16, whereas this is a lot closer to 1/8 inch. And the new ones are actually under that. Pardon. But the grinder is kind of, I like having job specific knives. So the grinder is kind of one that if you really need to, in fact, I had to do this, you could go right through the pelvis and go through the rib cage and chest cavity and that sort of thing. You probably could get away with it with the Nasher, but I wouldn't want to use a rock on the backside of the Nasher.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I have zero problems doing that with the grinder. And they work really, really well together. I have one of each in my pack when I go hunting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I would agree that that flatter style blade definitely is. It's prone to, like, if you're a rancher, an actual cowboy doing stuff on the ranch, and then the hard case use, like what you're saying, getting through bone and pounding through that through the pelvis or the rib cage. And then this is definitely more of that precise precise skinning, which I had a lot of people that have seen it. They really like the jimping where you've put it, and we'll get into that a little bit as well. But you know, so you take custom orders, and you also have runs of knives, right? So if someone reaches out to you, that mainly on the website, Instagram, how do you have people reach out?
Generally, it's on Instagram, but they could do the website as well. My email's up there. We have a contact form and all that kind of stuff. The custom books are kind of hard to get into, so if you have something that you need like very quickly, I would just grab something off the website. But if you have something that's very particular, then you can reach out to us and we'll get you scheduled. But I would say most of our work is either in small runs or the standardized blades.
Cool. Awesome. And that one blade that you held up, that EDC blade, in case people were looking at it, I like that that blade shape. I mean, it's just a classic, you know, just blade shape. It's got enough belly. It's got a little bit of a point. And then the handles, is it similar? Yeah, and the jimping. And then is it similar thickness and handle?
Pretty close.
Thinner. And then the other way, height-wise.
This is an old one too, so I think they're thinner now because this was the first version.
And then,
but they're not super chunky. Height-wise, yes, the high spots are pretty close.
No, flip it this way, and compared to the other one, so they're similar. Yeah,
they're pretty close.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I like that a little bit thinner blade, so you can actually get up into it, get your finger into that. The finger groove there does a good job, and then you also have enough that you can control, get up in, so you can index. And for people that aren't used to, like, you don't want to cut the stomach open and the guts; it just gets nasty.
Yeah. That sucks.
You want to make sure your finger gets in there and you can feel around a little bit, and then you can start working in there and get the diaphragm and all that taken out. So
yeah, that's precisely why that jimping is towards the front of the knife like that, is so you can get all the way up on the tip. So you can feel exactly. I don't even have to see it. I can feel exactly where that tip is when I'm field dressing, and then back there, the other section is just thumb. Use that as well for a pinch grip, but. Yeah, that was the one thing that I was really bummed about when I started using this. Is I was like, man, it really could use some jimping. So I think this is the second or third version. This is the third version of the Nasher. This is our third actual rendition. It has the jimping towards the front and the jimping along the back. It's a little bit thinner as well, and the scales are going to be a little bit different. But yeah.
So that up there, I mean, especially when you've got, because I usually use my skinning knives that way. I've gone away from Havalon style blades probably for the last 3, maybe even 4 years, just because I've seen so many of my friends that have killed more animals, field dressed more animals than I have, that have either injured themselves severely or at least partially. I've nicked myself a couple times with those scalpel style blades. They're cool for what they are, but at the same time, they're dangerous in my opinion. Especially if they break off in the animal. You got to be even more careful. And then
Oh
on
yeah.
top of that, you don't know if you've nicked yourself. Sometimes they're so sharp. You're like, I don't know if that's my blood or the animal's blood, So I've steered clear of those, and I try and keep people away from that style blade, even though they might be convenient. It's cool to be able to swap out the blade and stuff. But for safety reasons, I definitely prefer that. So again, being able to index at the tip there and have full control of that blade is super helpful with this one specifically. So with that, I guess let's talk a little bit about how long have you been hunting? How long have you been into that?
Hunting pretty recently. This will be, I think, my third year hunting. And I got into it really late. I always had kind of an interest hunting when I was a kid, but my dad was not a hunter. If he did, he hunted when he was a kid. Um, but he's a small business owner, so he didn't have a lot of time to be doing hobby stuff. Um, but a buddy of mine invited me to go hunting with his group. This would have been 3 or 4 years ago. I was super nervous. I'd done shooting and that sort of thing before, but just not actual big game hunting. Some small game stuff. I did rabbit, and I've had to cull chickens and stuff like that. But that was my first year. I got to go with all these super experienced hunters who have been hunting the same area of 30 years since they were kids, and just an absolutely incredible experience. There is so much knowledge. And I feel very fortunate to have been invited into a group that way. Because I think the other way to do it is like you're going it alone, basically. You've got to go take all your hunter safety and that sort of thing, and then maybe you join a group, or maybe you just go out and try to do it yourself. And I feel very fortunate. I didn't have to do that. I went with a group of super experienced, knew what they were doing, and the transition to doing that and being able to actually fully experience a hunt was so freaking cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bummer. I kind of wish I'd gotten into it earlier, but at least I'd gotten into it. But then I was like, I brought the predecessor to this knife hunting my first year, which was the Nomad, and this is the Mini Mad. It's just a slightly smaller version, and it did well, but not job specific. It's basically this knife but bigger, and the tip, of course, I nicked the stomach and nicked the intestines and all sorts of stuff like that, and I was like, well, this isn't ideal. I also this sucks. But I also, that year I lost that knife. This is a black knife, and I had dropped it at some point, and it was gone. It disappeared before my very eyes. And I looked for a long time for this damn knife. It's probably still up there. I would love to go up there with like a metal detector or something and go see if I can find it. But so the two things I'd switched from year 1 to year 2 was I made a design specifically for hunting, addressing the problems I had the previous year, and I painted it orange so that way I could see it if my clumsy ass ever dropped it.
Exactly. No, that's awesome. And then you have a lightweight version as well that does paracord. I'll be honest, personally, I like a hard-handled knife. I don't count ounces. Some people that cut their toothbrushes in half and all that stuff. Cool, if that's for you. I definitely am okay with packing in a little bit more weight and maybe being a little bit slower getting up the hill. And I like the hard handle because once you've used paracord once on an animal, it's nasty. So unless you know how to tie it, which cool if you do, but even then that takes more time. And I feel like you just get a better grip with whether it's G10 or nylon handles, other than outside of paracord. So you've got the lightweight one. So again, if people are looking for the lightweight one, it's a pretty sweet deal. It's essentially this knife, but with paracord handles, instead of the hard handle. Is it any lighter other than that? Have you cut out any more from it, or is it just this blade with paracord?
No, both of them have pretty extreme skeletalization, because I still wanted this one to be as light as possible, but I'm kind of in the same boat where I really like G10 scales. If not G10, I want something that I can really grab onto. But I know a lot of guys that hunt with paracord knives, weight reduction, but also just when it gets gross, they just cut it off and they braid a new one the next day. And I wanted something both to hit a slightly different price point, but also for those features that those guys want. I want something super light. I want something I can modify. And if it rip off the paracord if you don't want it, or you can use the paracord to tie stuff. But yeah, it's 2.7 ounces or something like that. It's either below 3 or below 2 ounces. I can't remember at the moment, but it's a light little knife.
Yeah, no, for sure. So you went up, you hunted for the first time, you used the Nomad. You recognize that the point wasn't the best for skinning, gutting. You know, where did you get the idea for this design on the Nasher here? Because it's unique. I mean, there's a lot of Canadian belt style blades that kind of have this more upward swept, where the blade's coming out, but yours has almost like this little hump here, and then it comes down and then back up, and then it's pretty much all belly, which is great again for in the field. But this, I've never seen personally, this hump right here that comes down and then back up. So where did you get that idea from?
So the whole profile of the knife has things that are really, really important to me. I like really deep finger choils here because I don't want to slip over the front of my knife. It comes up and then back down because originally I had wanted it to come up and kind of cut across and come down, kind of like a pocket cleaver or something like that. But it has all this extra material here that we could have cut away. It makes it much, much lighter. Also, it just has a cool profile. It's got a very flowing, nice lines. Nothing's like super hard and straight. And I can't take full credit for the design of this knife. Me and a buddy actually sat down and designed it together. It's the same buddy that took me to his hunting group. And we worked on this for a long time. It also took some inspiration from a Nesmuk Designs. I don't know if you've seen that before. But Nesmuk knives, they've got those big, big, long bellies. I think it's a Swedish or a Norwegian knife. But it definitely took some inspiration from that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And the belly on this thing, I mean, you guys can see it pretty much is all belly. If I can get this to focus, there we go. I mean, it's got a good belly to it. And that's remind me of the type of grind? I always get the names mixed up between hollow, saber grind. It's not a flat grind. So what's this one considered?
It's kind of a flat grind. Because there is a very, very small section of flat towards the top. So it's not like a full flat where it would go all the way to 0 and you have no flat section at the top. So it's kind of hybridized. I don't even really know what to call it per se, because it doesn't really fit a lot of the same molds of other knives.
The Kellar special. That's awesome. Yeah. So you came up with this design with your hunting buddy. I kind of actually want to go into that a little bit, that you mentioned, getting into hunting with a group versus individual. I also got into Western hunting because of a buddy of mine out here, and now they come to me when it comes to gear stuff, and I've kind of taken lead on that because they're cooler than I am, and they run CPA firms and they've got other stuff going on. So now I'm the go-to guy that got the bug and got hooked. So with your buddy, I mean, did he invite you? Did you ask him to go? Like how did that work for you?
No, he invited me. He invited me. I'd ask. I can't remember how it even came up. I think I had seen a picture of him and another buddy, and they were doing processing or something like that. I was like, "Oh, do you hunt?" He's like, "Oh yeah." Like, that's so cool. So, do you want to go? And I was like, "Oh, I kind of hadn't thought about that. Yeah, can we go at some point?" And so the next year, he kind of was like, "Okay, here's generally your pipeline. You got to go take your classes. You got to go get your hunter safety. We'll go do some small game hunts and just get basics down, and then the real deal comes up. We have big game hunting in third rifle season, and that was a huge eye-opening experience. Also, the coldest I've ever been in my entire life, because it's northern Colorado, like right on Colorado-Wyoming border, and I did not have the right gear, man. I completely underestimated how tough it was going to be, and he had told me, he's like, just get some wool pants. It's going to be fine. Yeah, you might be cold, but it's going to be okay. And I went and got those like super, super thin wool slacks, like the really, really thin ones. And I had that, and I'm like, yeah, I got wool pants. And meanwhile, everyone else is wandering around in these, really thick, old wool hunting gear, and they're fine. I'm over there just absolutely shivering and freezing, and yeah, that was it was a tough time, but it's one of my favorite memories.
Yeah, no, for
Yeah,
sure. So
he
go ahead.
go ahead.
You go ahead.
Oh, okay. But yeah, he had invited me, and he checked with everyone else in the group, and they're like, yeah, bring him on in. I had gone over, I think, the previous year to help them process all their animals and stuff like that, and that was really cool. A nice little, uh, you know, you put in some effort and show the people that you're cool and you're good to be around. And yeah, I'm very fortunate that it happened that way, because I don't know if I would have taken the leap to do it myself had it not been like that, where I had access to all these people that already had all their gear, really knew how to
Mm-hmm.
hunt, knew the space they were hunting, all knew each other really well, and were willing to bring somebody who's brand new in and actually teach them how to hunt.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let's see. So with that, when you say there's a group, is it just a bunch of buddies that are together? Is there an official group that they have formed, or is it just a bunch of friends?
It's basically a bunch of friends. It has been around for, I think, longer than I've been around. The main guys in that group have been hunting together since they were kids, and have slowly, added their children into the group, and so on and so on. It's not like an organization or something. It's just a group of people. Uh,
Sweet. So I guess with that, you've killed at least one animal. Um, have you tagged out every year? Every year of the 3 years you've been hunting?
this will be my third year.
Okay,
Hoping to tag out this year.
good. So you always go
But
third rifle? Is that kind of your okay?
yeah, I go third rifle. It's because I love hunting with these guys, and they're amazing. And the area that we're hunting in is gorgeous and has a special spot in my heart. I would love to get into archery hunting though, and a lot of these guys also do archery hunting as well. But if I'm going to do that, I need to kind of have the time to dedicate to that
Mm-hmm.
skill, because it is incredibly challenging. I don't think people realize how challenging it is.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even gone out to do archery hunting, and I'm just watching these guys, and I'm like, dude, this is tough.
Yep. And then that's a whole nother set of gear that you'll need because you won't want your
Oh
cold
yeah.
weather stuff. Uh, but yeah, as far as archery hunting goes, it's interesting because I hate to say that rifle hunting's easy because it's not. You can make it difficult if you go for more mature animals. Eventually, I always tell people get at least a couple animals under your belt before you start saying, "Oh, I'm going to hold out for a monster or whatever." If the animal gets you excited and it's legal and you're doing everything ethically, I say go for it. With my son, we're going after a doe, this year if he ends up getting close enough. Last year he had a chance on multiple little smaller bucks and tons of does, and I'm like, just either one's legal, go for it. We're not in it for the trophy. Um, and the same thing next year with my youngest son when he goes out with a rifle. I'm gonna say anything that's legal, go for it because I know he's going to be excited. Just seeing how he reacted to this doe pronghorn. And so for rifles, I think you can make it more challenging by, if you get to the point where I'd hate to say that you get bored, but you're like, I don't want to just punch a tag. Like that makes it more challenging because in finding the big bucks, they're generally not in the same area that you're shooting the smaller four keys or small 3 points kind of deal. Same thing with elk, or any other animal. The mature animals are generally in a different area and more. Um, I guess it's harder to find them slipping up than it is, the younger dumb animals. And so with a rifle, knowing knowing your rifle, knowing your setup, knowing your caliber, how it's going to react in the wind, things like that is definitely important as well. Like the doe I just shot, the 360 yards with a 20-mile-an-hour crosswind. I held a little bit. I was giving it about 2 inches, thinking I'd have about a 2-inch drift at that distance, and it actually ended up going right where the crosshairs were. So I didn't know my rifle well enough. I underestimated it, and luckily it was still a good enough shot. But that's one of those things. that just knowing your setup, knowing your gear is super important, whether it's rifle, archery, muzzleloader, whatever. That is definitely super important. So I respect that. It would definitely take time to get up and running on a new weapon, to be able to go hunting with. So do you have any goals this year with that?
With doing archery hunting, or just with hunting in general, or
Yeah. So, I mean, do you have any goals with the rifle, that third rifle tag that you've got? Are you looking for a specific type of animal, or you just wanted to fill the tag to get meat in the freezer? What goals do you have here with your third year?
I would really, really like to get an elk. I've got a cow tag this year. I can't remember if there's over the counter bull tags this year or not, but I know I have a cow tag for sure. And we got really, really close just my first year, getting on some elk. Um, and I would love to get an elk. I think that would be really, really cool. I have a doe already. I have a buck. And I'm by no means bored. I'm also looking to fill the freezer. You can't eat the horns. I'm not a trophy hunter, but yeah, I would love to get an elk. But they're challenging, man. It is it's a whole different ball game. I feel like most years I could almost reach out and punch these deer when they walk by. They get so
Yeah.
close to us. But the elk are the complete opposite. Like, they're so skittish, and they're challenging to track and get in the right spot.
So with, I guess, and I'm not too familiar with these different tags in Colorado. Third rifle lines up what time of year?
It's November, so I think it's
Okay.
November 9th to the 16th, or 9th to the 17th, somewhere in there.
So you're hitting kind of the rut of mule deer the last 2 years. And that's probably why they're just so dumb that they walk up to you. I mean, I've had deer walk up to me. I'm standing out in the open, not even trying to be, sneaky. And I've had small bucks walk to within 10 feet of me, just like,
Oh my
what
gosh.
are you? Just like, I'm not a doe. You can go on, buddy. And so that's why I really like archery hunting in November, because it kind of helps them screw up a little bit more, because they're a little bit more focused on other things than survival at that point. And so, but yeah, with elk, man, in November, that's they're the cows are all herded up, the bulls are all bachelored up, um, and sometimes it can be cool to see big herds of elk, but at the same time, there's more eyeballs that you have to get through and try to defeat, if you're trying to sneak in on them. So that can definitely be more difficult. Do you have multiple tags? I know you're saying you're possibly getting an elk tag if there's over the counter, or sorry, a bull tag if it's over the counter. Are you going to have a deer tag as well, or just focused on elk this year?
Yeah, I've got a deer tag as well. I think I have a buck tag on the unit right next to the unit that I have the cow tag on.
Sweet. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, that's exciting, man. And I texted one of my really good archery buddies. He owns an archery shop, and I texted him. I was like, man, this said the boomstick is still tons of fun, man.
It's true.
It's so much fun to get out there, especially if do you hunt with a suppressor?
No, I do not. No.
Oh, dude. Okay. All right. I'm pushing this hard because it is like not having to wear ear pro, and my son, who's 10, not having to wear ear protection. And I know the wind was whipping, but just it sounded like a little 22 going off. And this was a
Dang.
6.5 PRC. I
Oh
mean,
my
it was like,
gosh.
and you can hear it in the video. It's just like, poof, you know, and I mean, it just that changes. It completely changes the game. Yeah, I've seen elk drop, like my buddy a couple years ago dropped a cow in a herd. There was a small herd of like 5 or 6 of them on this ridge, and he dropped one of them, and she literally just crumpled right there. And the other 4 were like, "What are we doing? Like, it's not nap time. What do you like?" They had no idea because it dissipated the shot so well that they were like they didn't know where it was coming from. They didn't know where the threat was, and she wasn't running, so they were like, okay. So we literally had to wait until they meandered off before we went up there to get the cow. So
Dang.
it's pretty awesome. So if you do have the opportunity, I highly recommend it. You've shot suppressed before, I imagine, just anything. Okay, yeah. So then you understand. Um,
It's fun, man.
yeah,
Suppressors are cool.
it's yeah, and it's funny because we went to the range my son and I, anytime we go to the range, he hates it because he's so spoiled because we shoot suppressed. We go to the range. You've got a dude next to me who's shooting a 338 Lapua with a nasty break on it, and I'm like, every shot is like, I feel like I'm gonna have a concussion, because like boom, like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, my son's like, I hate this, Dad. This is awful. It really is. It's a game changer. So I always recommend people do that if they have that opportunity. But anyway, so with knives, I guess you've been officially in business, Dagr and Nott. I didn't even ask this at the beginning, and I did want to ask you, where did that come from? And for people that are maybe looking it up, the link's going to be down below, where you can check it out. But it's Dagr and Nott, Nott. So obviously very unique spelling. What is that coming from?
That is the Old Norse gods of day and night, and I also cannot take credit for that. My girlfriend at the time, now wife, came up with that name. We had a whole list of names that we were going through, and she was like, "What about this one? We both love Norse mythology." She's like, "What about Dagr and Nott? The Norse gods of day and night." And I was like, "Oh, that's really really cool." And that's also where the logo came from. Actually, the logo is a ibex skull. And one of the first times that we kind of were looking around at Dagr and Nott, and we found a depiction of the goddess Nott wearing a ibex skull headdress, and I was like, "That's the coolest thing. That's the logo right there." And I started drawing the next day, and so that's kind of the story behind both those things. And it's also really really unique, which is an important part of anything I do in the business. Is it has to be unique. It has to be it has to serve a purpose, right? It has to do a job. It has to be good at what it does, but it also needs to be unique. Which is why the scales are the way they are. This scale design took us 2 years to really dial in and perfect for a lot of our models. It's very very unique. It's not really a rock texture. It's not really a random texture. We've been calling it Riptide for a couple of years, but even down to the design of the knives, I wanted those to be unique. The logo, the name, all of it.
Yeah. And that's, again, I mentioned this at the beginning. It's something that definitely stood out to me was it's not just another typical style blade with your logo stamped on it and maybe some different colorations. It's definitely very unique, and it's hard to find unless you go to someone super local that's very small. It's hard to find someone that's got the presence that you do in the industry that is doing things that unique and to scale. And I would agree. It's interesting because and this is G10 if I remember correctly, right?
Mm-hmm.
The scales.
Yeah,
So it's got that grip texture from G10. It's got the aesthetic appeal, of the different the cutouts here, and then it's also got some different swelling, and it just lines up well with the hand. And for people out there wondering, I wear size large mechanics gloves. It fits great, right? So, I mean, it's not, again, it's not a massive blade. It's not heavy at all. This thing is outstanding for hunters out there that are looking for a solid blade, again, with a lot of belly. And then remind me, this is Magna Cut
that's
steel.
MagnaCut.
Okay, yeah.
We work mostly in the kind of higher end premium stainless steel, so MagnaCut, S45, S30, or S35.
And I guess tell people out there why Magna Cut for a hunting blade.
I think MagnaCut was it just blew my mind when we were testing it because it outperformed everything that we had previously done. I had done knives in 1095, S30V, S35, and MagnaCut was just so well rounded. It has awesome edge retention, really really great corrosion resistance. It's obviously a high tensile strength steel, and it's stainless. You don't have to baby it. The coatings that we apply really aren't for the corrosion resistance. It's more for aesthetics and visibility for these type ones. But MagnaCut by itself is it's incredible. Like it's an incredible steel. It
Yeah, I
was
agree.
also made in the U.S. Uh, Now I don't know if that's still the case. I think a lot of companies are making that recipe of steel since everything that happened with Crucible. But I was so stoked on it, and it's just a wonderful steel. I love it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I haven't found anything and I'm not a steel expert by any means, but I will say the high carbon steels are maybe cool to be able to sharpen quickly, right? And that's really, for me personally, the only benefit that I've found compared to other knives. And so for me, that's a good steal for maybe a bushcraft knife, something that you're using a lot and maybe you need to resharpen more often. Um, for hunting purposes, for the kitchen, for things like that, like I feel like I really like that Magna Cut, at least for the kitchen purposes that I use it. I know there's other higher end like Japanese blue steel and Nitro V and stuff like that is really really refined and good for kitchen specific purposes. But a good overall steel that you can get, thick or thin, it still, will hold a good hardness, and also, remain sharp, but also isn't difficult to sharpen. Like some of those S45 VN can be difficult to sharpen. There's another one out there, S90V,
Yep.
that can be really difficult to sharpen back up because it is so hard. And that can be hard on your sharpening stones as well. So Magna Cut's just that kind of that sweet spot, the Goldilocks, I feel like, of a good outdoor blade, a good hunting blade. And then I'm trying to remember, I think I told you we got through and it was a big mature bull, my buddy's bull, and I only touched it up right before we got to, I want to say it was the last hind quarter. And I just ran it over the work sharp little field sharpener real quick, and it was great. I think I just put it on the ceramic rod, if I remember correctly. So it didn't even really need that much. I just wanted it just a little bit sharper because I like to go through it like butter rather than putting a little bit of effort in.
For
But
sure.
yeah, no, it does great. It did really well. I will say I'm a little spoiled on the pronghorn. I didn't really have to quarter that out. I wanted to respect the landowner because he obviously cultivates that land, and so I didn't want to leave a gut pile out there. So we dragged it out, and then I just put it on the tailgate, gutted her right there, and put everything on a tarp so we could pack it out and not leave it for the landowner to deal with coyotes and crap like that. So didn't really put a lot into it with that, but it went through that bull elk really well. So hopefully I've got some
Awesome.
other animals to use it, mule deer, whitetail, stuff like that the rest of the fall.
Hell yeah. That's
Yeah.
the whole point. And this is another piece too, is if you ever need it to be like truly resharpened, send it back to me. That's something we do with all of our knives, no matter what, is if you can just send it back to me, I will resharpen it and send it right back to you. I have no problems doing that. I want to keep these knives cutting. I want them to be used forever for the lives of my customers and their kids and so on. So I have no problems doing that. Free resharpens for life, But guys like you, obviously, you're doing field sharpening and that sort of thing. Totally cool. But if you ever didn't want to bother with that,
Yeah.
just send it out to me.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's say someone's being dumb and using your knife for getting out an ivory or something like that out of it. What are your recommendations for that? Because I just say don't do it. Don't be stupid.
I would say don't do it. Don't do that.
Yeah.
There's
It's not a screwdriver. It's not a.
I know that's the other thing too, is like
Yeah.
people still do that, man. People still use these really, really nice knives that they've spent a bunch of money on as a screwdriver. And it's not what it's used for. This is a job specific tool. It is a cutting tool. That being said, I still fix knives. If you do end up using it as a screwdriver or getting ivory out for some weird reason, which I do not want you to do, we have fixed a lot of knives that have been abused.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would
Just
say
be
don't do
honest
that.
and share the story with them.
Just be honest, yeah. Don't tell me
Yeah.
I was using it totally normally and the tip just fell off magically. I'm like, I don't know if I believe that.
I was
uh,
skinning out this deer and it just like
it
broke.
just popped off. It's like, come on, man. Come on.
Oh
No, if you're
man.
gonna get ivory or something like that, just don't use a knife. Use a different tool. I think you should bring a hammer or something with you. There's rocks out
Yeah.
there. Like there's
Just get the
different ways
skull
to do
home
that. Yeah, get the
and
skull home. You
use
don't
a
need to do it right there.
2x4 and a hammer. That's the best. That's the
Perfect.
best method. You're not going to screw up the jaw. You're not going to screw up the ivory by scratching it with something else that's sharper. And there's plenty of videos out there. Go YouTube it, guys. It's not that hard to do. Just get the skull home first.
Yeah. Please.
Exactly. Please. That's awesome. So you've got, as far as the hunting lineup goes, you've got the Gnasher, you've got the Grinder. Those are kind of the pair that you recommend for hunting knives. Anything else that we haven't touched on?
What have we not touched on? We're working on kitchen knives at the moment. I have wanted to do a kind of Americanized style chef knife for a long time. And we have a design that we're starting to get close with. I don't ever want to like kick something out there that is not well fleshed out. Like I said, it has to be really unique. It has to do a great job. And chef knives are very, very particular. So we're working on that right now. We also have a folder coming out. I was going to try and knock it out this year, but it looks like it's going to have to happen next year. But we have a folding version of our like most popular EDC knife, the Mini Mad, that we're working on right now. So those are the two big things. Apart from that, we're always working on random new fun stuff. We recently did some inlays on handles, a brand new way that we had never done before. We're calling it the arrowhead pattern, and I'm hoping to kind of push that out to all the rest of the knives too. But as far as designs past those, I need to find more problems. I want to find more problems that need solving in the knife community and build to that.
Yeah, and it's hard to like. I'll be honest with you. I don't know as far as hunting goes if I'm sure there is. There's people out there that really like other designs and stuff, but I can't really think of. I mean, between this and a grinder, like I don't know what people would need other than like a bone saw, which obviously they can go pick one of those up at Walmart, but I
Sure.
never use a bone saw. I mean, again, the grinder, being able to go through, chop through the bone, and if you know how to work joints at all, it's pretty easy to be able to get in there and pop the joints where you need to get them off. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Do you have anything else cooking that you're thinking of in the hunting industry outside of those two?
I love the idea of a hunting tomahawk.
Okay.
I've taken a tomahawk hunting before.
When
It's
those deer come a little too close for the rifle.
exactly, yeah. Sometimes you gotta pop up and uh, we're starting to open up the tomahawk season, which is,
Okay.
you have to throw the tomahawk in order to kill the animal. No, don't do that.
And he's going to go into the atlatl as well.
There we go. Yes. Spear hunting. Let's go.
Yeah, let's get
You
rid of
have
crossbows
to
and make
spear
a
hunt in a
atlatl season.
loincloth, though.
Yeah. In third rifle season.
In third rifle season, yeah. No shoes.
No shoes, yeah.
These are the rules, man.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
No, that was kind of half joking. We've done tomahawks before. As far as the actual use in hunting, they can be useful, but you can do most of the same jobs
good
with
for like decapitating or something,
yeah,
just getting the skull off.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
But again, those jobs you could do with a Gnasher grinder. So maybe we'll do a small run of those because we haven't done those in a little bit. But that's kind of what we're working on right now is the kitchen knives, the folder, bringing the Mini Mad back especially. That was a really, really popular design this year and last year, and so we're going to be bringing that back pretty soon as well for the Christmas season. We also have a little mini drop next week we're doing of those, just to kind of refill what's been missing for so long. Yeah.
Cool. No, I like it. I'm trying to think. Do you have something that's like the grinder but a little mini version, like for people that just like opening boxes with a fancy knife?
Not of the grinder per se, although I kind of like that idea.
Just like a sheep's foot, just a utilitarian style. Some people I like that design of a sheep's foot, but like a smaller version of which I don't have one here to demonstrate the difference, but it is bigger than this. Would you say, how much bigger is the grinder than the Gnasher?
I mean, it's got a tiny bit more blade length and a tiny bit more handle length, so maybe an inch or two.
Yeah, then I would say like just a mini version of that for people that like that. I don't know how much of a market there is for sheep's foot style blades out there, but anyway. Cool. I guess, is there anything I haven't asked you about that you wanted to bring up or talk about?
Yeah, we touched on it just barely earlier. And you talked about having something unique and something new in the knife making world and at scale, which is kind of the part that usually falls by the wayside. But we also do manufacturing. And that started I think that was year 2 in the business, because up until then I was doing everything by hand, and that was kind of during COVID. It started March 13th, 2020, right during COVID, and so still doing everything by hand, uh, and that's an incredibly hard thing to scale. And I was finding out very quickly, okay, if I'm gonna make a viable business out of this, we have to be able to scale. And at the moment, unless I put 10 other guys in this shed that I have, we're not gonna be able to scale. So I was kind of looking at using machine shops and stuff like that in the U.S. to try to make knives at a better scale. But dude, the prices we were getting, and most people just told us no. They're like, it's not possible. You're not going to be able to do this. So I kind of had to fill that need for myself first. So I started kind of getting into manufacturing, getting into machining, and had to teach myself the whole next year how to do that. And that is not how my mind works. That was a brutal year. I don't like math. I'm not a real engineer in that sense. And it took me about a year, but I was able to take these designs that were in my head, and instead of having to do every single one at a time, super slow, all handmade, I was able to kind of scale that to be machinable. And so now we do all of our own machining, and we also do machining for some other knife makers and some other retailers and stuff like that. We do knives specifically for them, but doing it at scale is challenging. It's one of the bigger issues in trying to make a viable business. Is either you go super small scale, really high price. If I could only make 20 knives a year or something like that, I'd have to sell those damn things for thousands and thousands of dollars in order to make the business viable. And I knew I wanted to have a team, so I had to figure out how to make this thing scale. Anyway, just to bring that up very quickly.
No, I mean, and I agree. It's hard to find both combined. Being so unique with a lot of your designs, and being able to scale it as well, not just being such a custom niche market. It can be, and both can work, honestly. It just depends on, there's some companies out there that they sell at scale, and some of them rely on their name. Others are, they sell them in Walmart as kind of the higher end Walmart knife. But then you've got the other ones that are all custom, like what you were saying, where they sell for thousands and thousands of dollars. It is definitely hard to scale. And it's cool that you've got, four other members of the team, and you're growing. You're obviously you're adding jobs to the community, which is a big deal as well. And still coming up with new designs. So, I just kudos to you for that, man. That takes a lot of work. And again, as someone, in our generation, which, speaking of that, do you remember? Did you ever watch Go Titans or Teen Titans?
Yeah.
Okay, it just popped up on our Disney, and we watch a movie usually on Friday night with the kids, and it popped up, and I'm like, oh, no way. I'm like, hey guys, we're gonna have to watch this. And my kids were like, no, Dad, that looks cringe, that looks stupid, that looks whatever. And I'm like, look, I will let you pick anything else if you don't like this first episode. They're like, okay. They were like, wait, that was made in 2003. I'm like, I know 22 years ago, right? Like, and so we turned it on, and they are hooked now. I'm like, see, this is what real cartoons were about, where they were roasting each other. They were picking on each other for things, laughing about it, learn how to, I'm like, there's so many good life lessons that are actually taught in this cartoon. It's kind of silly. But anyway, I just thought that was funny. Going back to our generation, it's hard to manage, a family, let alone a family and a job. And then you're creating jobs. Again, you're coming up with new knife designs. You're keeping things in stock when you can, and you're offering custom options. I mean, you've got a lot going on. So again, I just want to point that out for people. Like, this isn't your Walmart fixed blade. This is definitely something that needs to get used and abused. It's premium materials. I've absolutely loved it. I think is a very well thought out design, at least on the Nasher. Really excited for that. So Is there, I guess I keep asking this, but last thing that you can think of? I know you said there was a quote you wanted to share. Maybe I'm putting you on the spot. Did you end up finding it?
I did find it.
Okay.
It is likely that this quote has made it around the community tons, and people are going to be super tired of hearing it. But I heard it a couple of years ago, and I love it. I think it really captures something very special about both knife making, but also the people who really enjoy knives and can um, find something to connect to when they pick them up. So this is a Bob Loveless quote. When a man picks up a knife, there's an old memory from the collective unconscious that surfaces. A knife is an atavistic experience. It was man's first tool and weapon. Man was chipping flint into cutting edges before he invented the wheel. No matter how sophisticated we become, a knife takes us back to that cave. Which, I love that quote, because I think most of us have had that experience where you pick something up and you're like, wow, this felt like it belonged in my hand. And it connects us to something like very, very grounding.
No, I love that. That's awesome. Man, I couldn't agree more with that statement. I mean, it's something that it's cool. It's something that as a kid you want to have. When you use it in different tasks, it's funny because the other day I was wearing my gym stuff and someone was like, "Hey, do you have a pocket knife?" I'm like, "Gosh dang it, I didn't have my knife on me at that time." Like everyone looks at me whenever they need a knife, right? But like, we use knives for everything.
They will never let you live that down either.
Oh
man.
no, they definitely won't.
If you're a knife maker, you forget a knife, people are like, "What is wrong with you?"
Oh, did you forget to make one today? Oh man. But no, that's I do love that quote, man. That's so true. It's very part of it's a lot like hunting, archery, knives. Like it's something that is somehow in our DNA. And is something that we always enjoy. And there's something about the first time you get to use a knife, or when you open up a new knife, or there's certain designs that speak to certain people. But in the end, I mean, knives are tools, and they can look cool, and you're doing a really good job of making them look cool, but they also work really well. So, for people out there, I definitely recommend going and checking out Dagr and Nott. Again, I'll leave the link down below where you can check those out, and highly recommend picking up the Nasher if you've still got time left in your season. If you've got any late season hunts, any whitetail, anything like that. I mean, this thing is super compact. It's very lightweight, hard handled, great belly on it, and just an awesome design. So definitely recommend that. And if you're looking for an EDC blade, go over to Dagr Nott and check that out as well. And then if you want something custom, go reach out to Kellar. He'll hook you up. So yeah, man, I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming on. And like I always say, guys, get out, live your life, and love it.
Jonathan, thanks so much for having me on.